way in the back there.
What are you currently working on? What will you be working on in the near future?
I am working on Breed 3, and if you come down to the table, which is way, way, way far back in the back of the place, I have a video presentation of the book going on my iPad. It'll have running. You won't be able to read it because I only give you 5 seconds a page, and they're all out of order. So you're going to have to buy the book. This is just to whet your appetite.
Is this 3 of 6, 3 of?
3 of 7. It's going to be 7 because we can't do the other ones have a 40-page start-off issue. They don't do that anymore, so it's like 7 22 pages. So we're approximately the same size. And at the same time, the first 2 volumes will be put out.
There's something planned after that?
I might do Dreadstar. I got to finish off Dreadstar. I have a final Dreadstar story, and I want to finish off Kid Cosmos also. So that's my plans in the future.
Was that Malibu-ish comics, or am I thinking wrong?
Malibu was Breed through Bureau, yes. So
you retain the rights, or any problems with that? Or?
Am I having problems? No, I own the rights to that. Those are my characters. Dreadstar, Breed, Kid Cosmos, they're my babies. I can do what I want.
Any other questions?
If you had an opportunity to write a story where you got to kill Captain Comet, would you do it?
No, I like what I did. I like what I turned him into. He's kind of in fact, I'm working, I have a project which is going to be an illustrated graphic, it's not a graphic novel, it's going to be an illustrated novel. Did any of you ever see Pawns? It was in the back of Dreadstar. It was a novel that my ex-wife and I wrote together, and I did illustrations for. I want to do something like that again. And there's a book in the works, an anthology book that will be like 40 and I'm going to do something like that for this book. It's going to be like 80 pages, and my section is going to be 8 pages of this novel in serialization when it comes out. So, and it's going to be sort of based on where I was going to take Captain Comet if I had stayed with him. He would have been eventually shredded.
I didn't actually read it, but I read online that your Hawkman, how was it like writing Hawkman? Because that character was the one character where you sit down and try to explain who this guy is in like five sentences or less. You couldn't do it. Because I mean, there's like this Hawkman and that Hawkman, but this Hawkman and this Hawkman, and that seems to be just you've been thinking about it.
Dan DiDio approached me in Hawkman and said, just basically what you said, that it's a mess and we don't know what to do with it. And we said, we would like to bring it back to sort of like the Carter Hall, Joe Kubert,
right?
You know, he was a cop in this thing, but we have to eliminate a lot of this stuff. And so I started working on it, and word got out of what was going on. And a lot of other writers who had worked on it before, I'm not going to mention any names, got very upset about this. And lobbied, they came in mass and lobbied Dan, and Dan called me up and said, I got a real situation in my hands. And we were going to do Hawkman in the back of Miss Strange Adventures, Strange Adventures, yes. And he said, can we get rid of it and put Bizarro in there? And I said, okay. And so that's how Bizarro ended up. And Hawkman just fell apart, just for politics. Nothing was going to really happen about that. Another reason to not do that anymore.
Right, exactly.
Did have you ever option anything? Is it Metamorphosis Fantasy, the original Dreadstar, before Dreadstar?
Did anyone ever option it?
Or look into it or think about making a movie and then?
I've had Dreadstar, Breed, and the novel Singing the Predators and Among Madmen optioned numerous times. It always gets this close to a movie. I make money off it, you know, I got no complaints, but it's just never been made into a movie. There's Breed and Thinning the Predators are in sort of pre-production stuff at this point. I'm not going to say anything more than that other than people are talking about it because 99% of these things fall through.
It seems that the first one would be more looked at, but it has beginning and end.
Dreadstar would be an expensive one. That's why it would be Breed or one of the novels first. Because there's like these producers I know who think if we can get Breed done, they can get the money up for Dreadstar then. You know, so it's a movie business. I don't understand it. I stay out of it. I take their money and I let them do it.
Hey, do you have time to, you want to keep answering, or?
If people got questions, you know, I'll just sit. All I got to do is to go back to that desk and start signing things.
Any other questions?
If Thanos was really the place where you started pouring out the dark side, things in your head, was there any one character where you felt you needed to pour the positive side into?
No, because the positive side is being pumped at you from all corners, you know, especially when I started. We didn't have the anti-heroes, so, you know, there was no Dark Knights. Excuse me, they were all versions of, do I really need this? Does everybody hear me without this? They were all versions of Superman in some form or another when I started off. So I never felt that I had to put a positive beam on anything because you get enough of that anyhow. You want happy faces, you go watch situation comedy on TV. You want something a little bit weightier that may not come out with a happy ending, you might check my stuff out. I'd rather do something that's more interesting to me than it would be commercial. I've been very lucky. I mean, a lot of my stuff has been very commercially successful. I never intended it to be. I more than anybody, have always been more shocked by that than anyone. You know, I don't feel obliged to do anything. It's the story I want to do, and I go that direction.
What about the Infinity Trilogy? I mean, how was it, did that originally start out as one book, and Marvel said, hey, let's do a sequel, and then they said, let's do another sequel, or did you really have an idea for 3 books, or how did that break down?
I started off with the Surfer. The Surfer started selling well, and they said, how would you like to do a Thanos mini? I went to the mini, the Thanos Quest, which I was going to dovetail back into the series, the Surfer series, which I was still writing.
Right.
They said, let's do another mini so we can sell more copies. And that's where the Gauntlet came in.
Okay.
The Gauntlet sold well, and they said, would you like to do another one? We did the War.
Right.
At that point, the editors up at Marvel started freaking out because I was doing all the big miniseries.
Right.
One editor in particular really started carrying on a crusade to make sure that I didn't get the other one. But they were selling, so even Tom DeFalco, who wasn't the greatest editor, knew that they had to do another one, even though his other editors were having a fit about it. So when we got to the crusade, Tom hid the crusade from the rest of the editors until it was time for it to go to publication. We had like 2 issues already done before it went on to their list of coming books. And they had one editor who particularly was mad at it. At the beginning of this thing, came up to me and goes, well, now that you lost your gravy train, what are you doing now? I went, oh, I don't know, I'll find something here. And the Gauntlet came out, the Crusade came up after that. And after that, I felt like I'd gone to that well long enough, so I went off to do Green instead.
And you collaborate a lot with Ron Lim on those, all 3 books. What was it like working with Ron?
Ron was fun. I mean, Ron laughs at anything I say.
Okay.
So it's always fun having a story conference with him. You know, he gives me the image that I want.
Okay.
When I work with Bernie, he gives me the image will tell the story. It's never as I picture it, because Bernie's got his own individual's eye. It's a really solid, and it tells a story, and I love it. But it's almost never like what I see in my mind's eye. Ron is always pretty much there. Give him this thing, and him and I are both coming from Jack Kirby. He's got a lot of manga in his influence also that I don't. But he comes from the same spot, so we work together a lot. I really missed him when he was supposed to stay with us in Strange Adventures, but he got pulled away, so lost him at the end there.
Which Thanos storyline kind of satisfied you more as a creator? The Cosmic Cube saga, like Captain Marvel, or the Avengers, or the Infinity Gauntlet?
My favorite Thanos is the Thanos Quest.
Where he beats up the elders and takes the gems.
Yes, he's at his most colorless at that point.
I didn't find Warlock until like the mid-80s or 90s. That was around in the 70s when it was written. Do you feel that it wasn't pushed? Because I don't remember ever seeing anything about it in Marvel, in Marvel. Because they didn't push it or advertise it enough because it was.
Well, I only worked on it. I worked on
That's the
it.
series.
I worked on it less than a year.
Oh.
So by the time I was getting off it, Marvel was at a point where there was a big paper shortage, and they had books. Warlock was not a giant seller. It wasn't like the Fantastic Four or what the X-Men were becoming around that time. Warlock was successful enough to keep it running, but there was a major paper shortage, and I think Border Worlds, Killraven, Luke Cage, and Warlock all got canceled at the same time just because they didn't have paper to print it on. It was like a really unique situation. Never had happened before or since. Now, now all those things have been brought back at one point or another.
Yeah, it seems like there's a real renaissance of like the 70s and 80s ideas, that they always seem to come back. I mean, they killed Thanos, they brought him back again. I mean, you see Killraven popping up in like Marvel's best-selling title right now, The Avengers.
Well, you see them as characters. To Marvel, they're assets.
True.
That have to be brought back and, see if they can make some money.
Refresh from the well, introduce to a new audience.
I mean, they're quite upfront about it. They're assets that have to be explored further. So that's why you see nothing goes to waste. Eventually, everything comes back, except for maybe Gollum. I can tell from the blank stares, no one knows who Gollum is.
Who, Gollum?
Gollum. Big gray lump.
The
Ask
symbol
Tony
on his
Isabella, he
forehead,
wrote
right?
it.
The symbol on his forehead.
Yes.
Truth, I think it was, or whatever it was.
Well, it's from the legend of
Jewish literature. or-
Who knows? It's more
Gollum, the Golem.
The Golem. Marvel did a Golem comic at one point. It shouldn't have, but they did.
X-Files did look.
Yeah, everyone's gonna have done this one time or another. Maybe we're running out.
Okay.
Yeah.